So New Zealand 33, Australia 24, a thrilling Bledisloe Cup match as it was always going to be. But of course, at Eden Park, New Zealand just don't lose, even though it was pretty close at times. Australia, the biggest compliment is they're difficult to beat, and that is a compliment because they're good in pretty much every area. The scrum was competitive, the line-out, defence was big. They looked okay in attack, but gave away a lot of penalties, as did New Zealand, and the ref was definitely very hot in this game. We'll talk about that. But New Zealand, yeah, slightly the better team. It doesn't mean they're going to win the Rugby Championship because they're only 3 points ahead in the table despite that bonus point win. And as it stands after this game, I think anyone can still win the Rugby Championship. So that's great. Goes down to round 6. But let's get into this game, talk about some of the themes, look at some of the clips because some very interesting stuff. And early on, my big takeaway was the lineup for New Zealand looks so much better. They got a lot of their best players back. They got the power pace man of Caleb Clark on the wing. That makes a big difference there. I do like the other side as well. Carter's a good all-rounder, very strong. But Caleb Clark adds that bit of extra power. Cam Roigard, the magic man, he's just so powerful, such a great finisher. His basics are great as well. It makes a huge difference when he's back in the side. Cody Taylor, their best hooker, back in the side, and then you have the balance, the power of Satiti, the all-round amazing excellence of Ardie Surveyor. It was a better lineup. It only takes Australia to slightly overcommit in the maul, and Ardie Surveyor breaks down off the base of that maul. Roigard in support, and then they wing it back wide to the other side for a power finish from Caleb Clark. Perfect start for them. Not every player, I think, really stood out massively. I think something I've highlighted for the new second row Holland is he isn't great at numbering up in defence. I mean, he does some good stuff as well. He's a big unit. But once again, I think for the third time in this Rugby Championship, he's guarding the ruck and he just takes the wrong person. This time he completely abandons his ruck guard position and allows a break. Doesn't come to anything, but just something I've noticed there. I think there is still a bit of work to do, still question marks maybe around the 13 position, but it is looking like a more strong lineup for New Zealand for sure. But anyway, early breaks on from Cam Roigard again, I think, who makes 3 early on. Wallace Satiti, the go-to power man. The All Blacks, they're still favouring the passing game like previous rounds, but they are carrying pretty strongly as well, so it's a good mix actually. They go through a mountain of phases just after that first try, mixing up the movement and the carries. Surveyor, Roigard make the telling ground, of course, and Carter finishes very nicely off it. 13-3. Excellent start, excellent first 15 minutes for New Zealand, looking really hot at this point with Australia on the ropes. Now, one area where Australia really didn't help themselves is James O'Connor's kicking to touch. Made some really bad mistakes there, not getting the ball into touch from penalties especially. Off a turnover on 17 minutes from Pollard is a case in point, and he played actually pretty well apart from that, but his kicking can be a glaring weakness sometimes. He put a kick out on the full as well from a restart, so that was a problem. On 90 minutes, actually a really interesting thing happened, a bit of a collector's piece. We saw a proper ruck. We saw Cody Taylor go through the ruck, and you're not allowed to kick the ball forwards anymore in a ruck, which used to be a big weapon in the ruck. You can hook it back, ruck it back, which is really hard to do, and he did it perfectly on 90 minutes. So I really like to see that. Cody Taylor, he is the all-round package. Around the 20-minute mark, it goes from bad to worse for Australia as they're giving away penalties. Wilson, I think, with a couple of no-arms tackles. From that platform, the All Blacks go from side to side. Jordan skipping past tacklers nicely. He was playing really well, taking the ball at pace, putting that side step in. He was good under the high ball as well, so really tidy game for Will Jordan, who has been a bit up and down recently. And Australia are just stretched. They're in pieces as New Zealand pound the line. Lomax goes incredibly close, and then power scrum half Cam Roigard flies over for a big lead. So really the perfect first 20 minutes there for the All Blacks, 20 points to 3. They do lose Beauden Barrett early on, but they've got the like-for-like replacement of Damien McKenzie, so that's not a problem. No, that's why Damien McKenzie is there. That's just the perfect replacement. Then on the half hour, we really start to see one of the big features of this match, and that is the really hot reffing of the ruck by the referee. I'm not saying he was wrong in his calls, it's just he was very sharp. Any hands on the ground, any in the side, any going off your feet, he was calling, and neither side really got to grips with that. He's an Italian ref, they won't have him much, but it is something they really struggled with. They both gave away a stack of penalties. This time it's the All Blacks giving away a penalty, and there's a maul. Australia get the momentum because the All Blacks go up to try and contest, which they did a couple of times, and give away that initial hit in the counter maul, and Billy Pollard dives over for a vital try to get Australia back in it. So at this point it's 20 points to 10, but New Zealand still looking fairly good. It looks like they can contain Australia in their own half, but they keep giving away these penalties. Lomax taking Wilson off the ball, a bit of a silly one. It's good news that O'Connor doesn't kick to touch very well, but at least Australia are getting some attacks from these penalties. They string 13 phases together on 32 minutes. Pretty good stuff. Some good tackles from Leroy Carter. He is so strong for quite a small guy, throwing the Australian players back. They nearly get joy from a big bomb from Lonergan, but not quite. There is a knock-on. Now, from that knock-on scrum, New Zealand decide to attack and run out of their 22. It is on. They do make good meters with Caleb Clark, but Proctor slips, but still goes into the ruck. He's in the side completely. It's a bit of a mess there as a penalty, and Australia get a chance to go on the attack. It's some really good steady build-up and then a lovely sweep around with 3 Australian attackers, and New Zealand just don't respond at all. So that's not great from New Zealand, but good late switching of play from Australia, and it's a lovely try as Potter flies over. So 20 points to 17 from a position where New Zealand were looking very strong. They're only 3 points up at half-time. After half-time, it's more of the same with New Zealand guilty of not playing the referee well. He's hot on the rucks, he's hot on the tackle. They don't release, they don't roll away. It's more penalties. Australia pour over the gain line really nicely. Hooper smashing over, Ikitau smashing up, but a really sharp chop tackle from Surveyor and Jackal from Vai saves the day there, or they could have gone behind. But as I said, it's both sides who aren't playing the referee well, and it's 3 penalties in a row from Australia this time. It's marginal, but like I said, the ref is hot on not releasing, staying on your feet, that sort of thing. Lovely long-range kick from DMAC, so that is 23-17, 6 points in the league. And then the issue strikes again for Australia of James O'Connor just not being great at kicking to touch. On 50 minutes, it's clear to see that Australia have stepped up their line speed. They're snuffing out the attacks from New Zealand quite quickly. O'Connor, a really nice covered tackle, then Salakai Lotto flies up and shuts down the tip-on, and they're getting some turnovers that way. On 52 minutes, O'Connor's kicking to touch strikes again off a penalty he can't make touch. Will Jordan is really ready, and he jumps from outside the field, inside the field, taking the ball as O'Connor just goes for too much. He's not a great kicker to touch anyway, and he bites off more than he can chew, so that's a problem. But no, Australia had these chances. They absolutely could have won this match. And a minute later, a really tight call, probably correct, but very tight on McWright for not supporting his body weight, and it's a penalty, and the lead goes out to beyond 7 points, 26-17. The game is still in the balance. Australia need to score though, but a smart kick from Cam Roygaard gets a 50-22. Absolutely vital there. Jordan hits a line at pace, stepping. It's looking really nice. Australia getting in trouble with the penalties. Yellow card warning. And it's phase after phase, but brilliant defence from Australia, pushing Satiti away from the line. Then O'Connor and Hooper holding up Carter. So brilliant work from Australia. They are staying in this game. They are making it tight. With just over 10 minutes to go, Australia put themselves in position to win this game. It's really good build-up play. They're tipping the ball on. They're playing with confidence. They're getting outside the New Zealand rush nicely. Potter has it out wide, chips in deep. Geordie Barrett does cover, but slices the kick really badly, and we have a 5-metre maul opportunity. And once again, New Zealand decide to contest the line out, meaning they can't initially counter the drive very well. It seems a high-risk call at this point in the match. Why didn't they just stay and counter drive? It was a bad call in the end as Australia fly over, and a nice conversion from O'Connor, it has to be said. 26-24, only 2 points in this game to break that Eden Park streak. But with so many penalties flying around, one of the sides was going to get a yellow card. And it's Australia. Again, it's very tight, hands in the ruck from Potter, but really maybe they should have just left the ruck alone for a bit because the ref was so hot. So they're down a player anyway. Australia defend manfully, defend them all, and world-class Cam Roygaard cuts them apart as Barrett and Tapia free him nicely for that winning try and to keep that winning Eden Park streak alive. 33-24, really exciting game. The Rugby Championship, though, is still in the balance. One thing that isn't is the Bledisloe Cup. That will stay in New Zealand. But let me know what you thought of that game, please, down below. If you like these sorts of videos, do like, do subscribe, put on the notifications, why not? And I'll catch you next time.